Mr. Agnew.
Thank you. Well, I'm delighted to hear that they have dropped methane as a material that farmers must produce less of. I argued about this for years. I don't think the EU took any notice of me, but obviously people saying the same things as I was saying have been listened to, so that is a huge relief. But ammonia is a slightly different subject, because as far as I know, ammonia is not a greenhouse gas, as far as I'm aware. So I'm wondering why this has been brought in. Is it seen as a threat to human health? Is it seen as a threat to plant growth? I'm a little bit puzzled quite as to why it's in here, because, please correct me if I'm wrong, but it's not on my list of greenhouse gases. And you can reduce your ammonia emissions from a livestock unit with very good management, but it is quite difficult. And once it starts, it is actually very difficult to stop. But one of the problems, this ammonia is given off from the urine. I'm sorry to get technical, but that's where we are with it. And if you store muck and slurry, etc., you are storing the ammonia and it's being given off as a gas. If you can, as with the grazing animal, get it onto the ground immediately, it then soaks into the ground and goes through the nitrogen cycle. But of course, we are up against NVZs, and you can't just keep regularly spreading muck on the ground all through the year. So you have to store it, and then it gives off ammonia. And trying to think about it practically, the only way around this is that you have to put all the animals' droppings into a digester on a daily basis. From what I know of it, I can't see any way around this. And it's going to make life extremely expensive for livestock producers, and we could well see, if you cannot keep your ammonia emissions down, and they're very easy to measure, we're going to export the industry. And we're going to export the industry to countries where there's pretty foul air pollution as it is. I mean, you look at the smog over Mexico and places in Brazil, it isn't very good. So we risk exporting our industry. Then we've got another area where we emit ammonia on farms, and that's where we spread the urea fertilizer. And there is this fable that on certain conditions it can give off a lot of ammonia before it soaks into the ground. So are there going to be restrictions on this? And then again, are we going to export the use of urea as a fertilizer, nitrogen fertilizer, to other countries who aren't going to go through all this, and we're then going to import back the livestock products from them? So this is really quite difficult unless you can get world agreement, and it's going to make meat and eggs and milk, etc., a lot more expensive. Then on nitrous oxide, well, we've got a real clash of interests with the organic movement here, because that's given, as I understand, nitrous oxide is one of the diesel engine exhaust gases. And many people in this committee know that I'm in favour of GM crops as a way of reducing the amount of cultivation we do, the amount of tractors we use, the amount of fuel we burn. Well, arable agriculture could reduce nitrogen oxide emissions if it went more for GM crops, etc. But the organic are not allowed to do that. They rely very heavily on cultivations, using tractors, burning up fuel and giving off nitrous oxide. So we're going to make life more difficult for them as well. And of course, is it anyway going to make any difference to the world's weather? Thank you.